Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's yoga class. We're going to start sitting on a prop, and this could be anything really that's going to make you more comfortable in your seat. So, a cushion, a towel, a blanket, something that's just going to make your lift your hips a little bit off the ground. It takes the pressure off the knees. We're going to start in a nice, easy cross-legged position, Sukhasana, and take a moment to get ready for today's class. The theme of today's class is ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit word for non-harming or non-violence. And really, this is all actually about self-love and accepting where we are without harming ourselves or even the other people around us. And it's a practice we can cultivate here on our yoga mats, but it's also something we can take off the mat and into the world. And all that I'd like you to try to do today is whenever you find yourself in a position where you might think, oh, I could go a little bit further, or I should be doing this or that, I'd like you to just pause and reflect and think of actually, how can I really just embrace who I am at this moment, apply a little bit of that self love, and just enjoy the yoga practice and what it can bring to you today. So let's get started. We're going to rest our hands somewhere on our legs. Just take a moment to relax the shoulders, settle in, and let the rest of the day melt away. We're going to focus on a few rounds of breathing, and it can help sometimes to add counting to your breath. So you could try inhaling for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 4. And as you inhale, and you can start doing this, you can inhale and feel that lower abdomen expand, which is when our diaphragm is involved. And as you exhale, you could try slightly pursing the lips and breathing out for a count of 4. But let's continue that. You can close your eyes. It might be helpful just to kind of take away some of that visual stimulus and turn your awareness inward, breathing in deeply and exhaling. And as you repeat this a few times and as you practice this, you might find you can lengthen your inhale to a count of 5 or 6 and then exhale for the same amount of time. So let's see if we can do that now. Let's see if we can extend our inhale, breathing in more fully. And exhale for the same amount of time. Do one more round. And then we're going to add in one final stage to this breathing practice today. We're going to add a little pause at the top of the inhale before you exhale. And then when you reach the end of your exhale, we're going to add a little pause. And this is where we add a little bit of space, and it's a point for reflection. So just have a go at first. We're going to inhale for a count of 4 or 5, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then pause at the top, hold the breath in, and then exhale. And find the pause again, feeling the body empty of air, and then begin to inhale. Pause at the top of your inhale, and then exhale fully. One more round, pausing at the bottom of the exhale, and then inhale. Pause at the top of the inhale, and exhale. Good. And now just let the breathing return to normal for a moment. And hopefully the breathing is feeling a bit more open, a bit more fluid. And then we'll begin to just add some movements in now. So we're going to drop the chin towards the chest and feel a gentle stretch down through the back of the neck. Then we're going to slowly take the right ear to the right shoulder. It'll be the opposite to me. Come back to center and take the left ear towards the left shoulder. So you're feeling a stretch on the opposite side. Good. Come back to center. Slowly lift the chin. Feel a gentle stretch through the front of the neck. And then drop the chin back to center. Then we're going to draw some circles. And imagine you have a paintbrush on the tip of your nose, and you're going to draw some circles on a wall or a canvas in front of you. So you're just going to go 4 or 5 times round in a circle one way, and then change direction with that imaginary paintbrush. Just warming up the neck a little bit here. Good, and then come all the way to center. Now we're going to do some shoulder rolls. So we're going to lift those shoulders up and take them back behind us. And try to visualize or imagine your shoulder blades behind you are kind of opening up and then sliding down your back. And when you take them back, you should maybe feel a little opening across the front of the sternum. Do one more big circle and then go back in the other direction. And this time we're trying to hug the shoulders forward and feel a little bit of space between the shoulder blades behind us. And you might hear or feel a few creaks and pops. It's all those tendons and ligaments getting a little bit of movement. Good. Bring the hands back down, and we'll just do it. We're going to kind of take our spine through a warm up. So we're going to place our left hand on the floor, reach up with the right hand, and come into a gentle side bend. Try to keep this right hip glued to the floor and feel an extension from the fingertips of the right hand all the way through to outside the right hip. Breath in. Exhale, switch sides and come straight over with the other hand, reaching through with those left fingertips. Keep this left hip glued to the floor. Nice extension, breath in and exhale. Come all the way down. Now we're going to add a little twist, right hand to left knee. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, rotate and twist. So the rotation is coming through the waist and not the hips. Try to keep them glued to the floor and gently look over your left shoulder. Inhale, exhale, come all the way back to the other side. Inhale, lengthen up, so crown of the head reaching up, nice tall straight spine, and exhale into the twist. Breath in, exhale, come to center. Now we're going to spin around and come to cat-cow. So we're going to come to a tabletop, and you're welcome to use some padding underneath the knees here. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and feel a little bit of activation with the hands into the floor, even the top of the feet for a moment, and just feel that strength, even just when you switch the feet and the hands on, notice what happens. And then let that go a little bit. Inhale. And when you exhale into cat, try to take this first one kind of gently. We're really thinking of that non-violence, that self-loving. We're just going to slowly warm up our spine. So inhale, come forward. Nothing too crazy. Exhale, cat. Inhale, out. Exhale, cat. Few more rounds. Exhale. And inhale. And then slowly make your way back to nice flat back, tabletop. Sit back. We'll take child's pose, knees nice and wide. Stretch the arms out along the floor. Feel a little bit of traction here. You could even creep the fingertips up the mat and then sink the hips back and slide those hands back down. Do that a couple of times, creeping the fingers forward and then sliding back down the mat. So we're trying to think of the hips as sinking closer down to the ground. Do that one more time. Creep forward and then bring the hands back down the mat and let those hips settle for a second. Taking a nice big inhale here and breathing out fully. Let's walk our hands over to the right side of the mat. Another little side stretch here for the left side. I've taken my hands over to the right, so I'm getting a nice stretch through from the left palm. And you can press those palms into the floor here, just like you might do in downward dog. So you really feel a nice activation, and it's a nice isometric stretch. If you'd like to take it a little further, just a little deeper stretch, you can place that left hand on top of the right. But again, really listening to the body, kind of honoring where you are today with that philosophy of ahimsa. So keep the hands here if that feels a little better. Let's walk the hands over to the other side now, over to the left. Press the hands into the floor. Feel that right hip sinking down, nice opening through the right side. And again, if you'd like to, you can place the right hand on top of the left. But again, only if it feels warm, like a good stretch, beneficial. One more inhale, exhale, hands back. Make your way back to tabletop and let's move the padding or the blanket or your cushion just to one side. We're going to make our way to downward dog. So hands are shoulder width apart, tuck the toes under and slowly lift up and back to downward dog, keeping a bend in those knees, just so we can begin to warm the hamstrings up by pedaling the feet and extending one ankle towards the ground at a time. So kind of pedaling the feet, walking the dog, and really think of that extension through the spine. So make sure the hips are back. We're not dropping forward into the shoulders. We want to almost feel the shoulders and the underside of the armpit is dripping down towards the ground, pelvis tilting forward. You can kind of massage the toes here. You can wiggle the feet from left to right. Roll the top of the foot over and massage those toes, those hardworking feet gently against the ground. You might hear a few creaks and pops. I certainly do. And then we're going to look forward and walk our feet one at a time, stepping up to the top of your space, your yoga mat, and come into a forward bend. Let's hang here for a moment in ragdoll, letting the arms sway from left to right, and the arms can kind of dangle. You can even shake them out like pieces of string or spaghetti. And then we can bend the arms, take each elbow in a palm. Maybe take the feet a little wider so you can kind of heel toe, the feet a little wider. And then nod the head up and down, kind of letting the weight of the head be like a little bit of traction here for the spine. And then take the chin from left to right. Good. And you can repeat that a couple of times. And then drop the arms, bring the feet back in, heel toe, till they're about hip width apart. And begin to roll up the spine. We're going to move very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, coming up to vertical. Good. And when we reach standing, we're going to bring our hands to our heart center, just so that we can refocus on that intention for today's class. Our hands are in the Anjali Mudra, just to practice a little bit of self-love, self-acceptance. Let's take a breath in and a full exhale. Let's inhale, reach the arms up now, stretch them up toward the ceiling, and then exhale, dive forward, folding from the hips into your forward bend. We're going to go through a slow sun salutation. So we're going to inhale up to a halfway lift, nice flat back here. To straighten the legs, squeeze the quads and engage the hamstrings. You'll think of the kneecaps as lifting up and back. Notice how with strong, firm legs, you have a little bit more of a powerful foundation rather than kind of collapsing. We want to think of being strong and flexible at the same time. Fold into the legs and then bend the knees, place the hands on the floor and step that leg straight back into a lunge. We're going to move back into plank. So step the left foot back and come into a plank pose. Press the floor away actively. So we're not trying to drop in here. We're trying to really use every muscle in the body here. Draw your navel in towards the spine. Plug the shoulders back a little so they're not rounding and hugging forward. Push them back. And then drop the knees and bend the elbows as you lower yourself to the floor. So you're going to take those elbows straight back into the waist and lower your chest and chin to the ground, and then stretch those legs out behind you. And imagine someone's pulling your feet so you get some length through the body. Draw the navel into the spine again, and then use your core to peel yourself a little bit up off the mat. See if you can draw the shoulder blades together behind you. Squeeze those elbows into the side waist and lift the hands up on the floor and wiggle the fingers. You could even wiggle the toes. Place everything down and tuck the toes under. Make your way back to downward dog. You can add in a short child's pose before you lift up the hips and come back to downward dog. Hurdling out the feet, maybe even swaying a little bit from side to side. You could step the feet wider and just kind of sway. You could even think of a dog, you're wagging your tail. Happy dog, swaying from side to side. Good, and then walk the hands back to the back of the mat and take each heel to the back corner of the mat and come into a forward bend here again. And we're going to sway the fingers all the way to the outside of the right foot and then make a big rainbow shape and come all the way to the outside of the left foot. You could even add a little bit more of a twist in here and look over your right shoulder and come all the way over to the left and do the same. Look over your left shoulder. Keep a micro bend in the knees if the hamstrings are tight. You could also you can also press those kneecaps up and back, really listen to the body, tuning in with what's going on. A couple more times like this. And then come to center. We're going to heel, toes. You're going to turn the feet, heels, then toes, then heels. And then bend the knees, bring the hands to the hips, and leading with the back of the head, pivot back up to standing, using a little bit of core to help you there. When you reach standing, have a little shake of the hands and feet and come up to the top of the mat. So let's come back to standing at the top of the mat, base of the big toes together, ankles are about an inch apart, and bring your hands back to that heart center in a prayer position. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward, diving down into your forward bend. Inhale, rise up to your halfway lift. And exhale, fold in. Hands down, step the left foot back, and then step the right foot back. Come back to plank for a moment. Push the floor away, then drop the knees. Lower yourself to the ground. And then come up into a little bit more of a back bend, into a cobra pose, really squeezing everything together, peeling more off the mat, and then lowering down. Inhale, and then exhale, make your way back to downward dog. Pedaling out those feet when you reach downward dog. And let's take the right foot and thread it underneath the left, pressing the outside edge of that right foot into the mat for a little bit of an IT band. Stretch. Breathe into that. And then switch sides. Pressing the outside edge of the left foot into the floor. Take a nice breath in. And then exhale, slide that foot back. We're going to look forward and step the left foot and then the right foot up to the top of the mat. Inhale up to halfway lift. Exhale, fold into the legs, and then sweep the arms out as you come up to standing, taking a nice big inhale. And exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Let's have a little shake out. And then we're going to use a yoga block for the next little sequence. Now, if you don't have a yoga block, don't panic, because I'll give you some modifications, and you could always use some books, or even actually a running shoe makes a good yoga block. You can kind of use it in lots of different ways. I'm just going to have it handy at the top of the mat. I'm going to come into warrior two. So we're going to start with our feet nice and wide apart, and then turn our left foot out so that our knee is over our ankle and our right foot is at about 45 degrees. So nice opening for the hip and a strength builder. Notice sometimes this knee might want to drop in. So if you need to bring your stance in a little closer, that's fine. We really want to focus on activating the feet into the floor, feeling strong through the legs, and then lifting the arms so they're parallel with the ground. Look out over that front palm. Take a nice breath in. And exhale, come up to a reverse warrior. So lifting that left arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, come back to warrior two. And then come into this version of side angle pose. And if you have your block handy, your arm can stay here. You might like to bring your hand to the block, or you could even use a lower level of the block. But we want to avoid rolling and dropping the chest forward. So if you need to keep the block higher so that you can still breathe and have a nice extension through the back. Think of this right hip point as peeling back, peel the right shoulder back, and extend that right arm. Let's breathe into this. Good. One more inhale, and as you exhale, come back to warrior two. Now we're going to take the bend out of the front left knee and maybe slide this foot in a little bit. We're going to come to triangle pose. For triangle, we really want to turn our quads on. So maybe rest your fingers on your quads, let the quads kind of go loose, and then squeeze the quads and feel that activation. Press the foot into the floor, lift the arms up, and then begin to slide forward and then tilt down towards the left foot. Now, your hand can be on your shin or on the block. You may be open enough in the hips to reach the floor, but think really of this spinal opening. Again, it's the same process. So we want to keep this right arm extended towards the ceiling. Peel that right hip back and actually think of the crown of the head as going forward. Good. The block is your friend, a little bit of support, but again, you can be on your shin or your thigh. And you can look up or forward. Let's breathe in nice and deeply. And then exhale, come back up. Lower the hands. And what we're going to do now is add in a little twist of our triangle. So to do that, slide that foot in just a little bit more and turn the hips to face the front of the room. We're going to inhale both arms up overhead, twist to the left and bring the right hand to the block. Or it can come to your shin. This left hand can stay on the left hip. We want to think of this left hip as pulling back away from the left foot so it's not swinging out to the side. And we reach up with the left arm if that feels good. Remember, we're applying the principle of non-violence, so we want to really think of what's beneficial. The arm can come here, here, it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is to feel a nice rotation through the waist, those hips stay nice and square. Let's hold for one more breath in. Exhale, turn the torso to face the floor, slide that right foot up, move your block, and roll up to standing and have a little shake out. Let's try the second side. So I'm just going to move to this side so you guys can see. We're going to start in Warrior 2 for the second side. Feet nice and wide, turn the right toes out, left toes in a little. And again, notice this interplay of the left hip and the right knee. So to try and build some strength and flexibility, openness through the hips, press this right foot into the floor and try and peel that left hip back. Find openness across this area. Bring the hips over the shoulders, press the feet into the floor, and then bring the arms up. Let's look out over our right hand, breathing nice and deeply. And then flip the palm and come into reverse warrior, reaching that right arm up, nice opening through that right rib cage. Big breath in. And then as you exhale, come back to side angle pose, using a block here if you would like to. Again, the forearm can rest gently on the thigh, or we can use the block to get into the hips a little more. It's just an option though. And again, this arm, this top left arm, wants to be in line with the top of your ear. And think of this left shoulder, left hip is peeling back. You can even press the back of your right forearm into the inner thigh to make sure that right knee is not collapsing in. Good. Keep pressing those feet, breathing nice and deeply. Good. One more inhale. Exhale, back to Warrior 2. Take the bend out of this right knee and slide the left foot up a little bit. We're going to come to triangle. Again, check in with the quads. Squeeze the quads, feel that strength in those legs, building strength. And then we're going to build some flexibility. So let's bring the arms so they're parallel with the floor. And imagine you're sliding out towards that short end of your mat. When you feel ready, we're going to pivot into our triangle, Trikonasana. Bring the right hand to the block or to the thigh, or you might reach the floor, but we don't want to collapse the chest. So peel that left shoulder open, left hip open, press the feet into the floor. There's a lot going on in these poses, but it's a great chance to work on a lot of things at once. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. You can look up or forward. One more inhale. Exhale, lift yourself back up. Lower the hands and we'll do a little twist. So to work on the twist, we want to slide that left foot in and turn our hips towards the front of the room. The twist is coming from the middle of the body. Have your block handy. And we're going to inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, twist. through the waist and bring the left hand to the block or your shin and begin to rotate that right shoulder up. Drop the left shoulder. Keep this right hip pinned back away from the right foot. And when you feel ready, bring the right arm up, but know that it's quite absolutely fine to keep it on your right hip. The action is in the legs and the hip. Keep the crown of the head reaching forward. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Untwist, look down, step that left foot up and roll up to standing. Have a little shake out. Wonderful work, everybody. Let's come down to the floor and roll out our spine. So we're going to roll all the way down. And you might even like to kind of roll a little bit up and down. Or you can just hug the knees and give yourself a little massage, rocking from right to left. And you can bring the knees up and down. And then take the knees wide, one hand on each circle, on each knee, and do some circles. Taking the knees in big or small circles. Again, really listening to what the body needs. Go in both directions a few times. And then bring the knees together and place the feet down onto the floor. We're going to come into a spinal twist. We're doing lots of twisting today. We're going to hug the right knee into the chest. Good. And then draw it over to the left and extend that right arm out. Allow the right shoulder to drop to the floor as the left knee goes over. So we're getting that nice stretch from the right to the left. The face can turn to look over the right hand. And don't forget about the left foot. Flex the toes as if you were standing on the floor. Good. One more breath in. And then exhale, roll back to center. Squeeze that right knee in and then switch sides. Extending the right leg in, hug the left knee. And then using the right hand, draw the left knee over and extend the left arm and turn to look over your left arm. Allow the left shoulder just to drop towards the floor. Let the left knee drop over to the right. And then keep the right foot flexed as if you were standing on the floor for a little bit of activation to support yourself. One more breath in. And as you exhale, roll back to center. Hug the knees into the chest one more time. And then draw yourself up into a tiny ball. Squeeze the knees in towards the chest. Maybe rock from right to left here. Lift the forehead up towards the knees. And then release everything down to the ground. Making your way into Shavasana for the end of today's practice. Letting the body rest against the ground. If you need to make a few final adjustments, you can gently kind of lift the shoulder blades underneath you and then let them settle against the floor without being squished. So you want to think of them as flat against the ground. Allow the ankles to relax so the feet fall out to the side and the back of the hands rests on the floor so the palms are facing up. Closing the eyes. Just scanning down through the body one final time just to become aware of any final little bits of tension. And with each round of breath, let them go. Let the body sink into the ground. And let the body really enjoy these few moments of relaxation. And this is really where everything comes together. Shavasana is probably the most important part of a yoga practice, where the little magic happens. And if the mind starts to wander, just remember you're human. Apply that principle of ahimsa. A little bit of self-love goes a long way. And just come back to your breath. Just feel a nice big inhale and an exhale. Take one more breath. And as you exhale, slowly start to wiggle the fingers and toes. Just bringing some movement back really slowly. And then maybe just take the feet from left to right. And with the next inhale, reach the arms up overhead and take a nice stretch here. And then bring the hands down and walk the feet in, bend the knees, and roll over onto your right hand side. Pause for a moment, and then make your way up to sitting. And you might like to just open the eyes slowly as you come up. And let's meet back in an easy cross-legged position, just so we can come together for the end of this practice. Let's bring our hands back into the Anjali Mudra at our heart center. And just pause for a moment to soak it all in. Be grateful for this practice. Be grateful for your body, your mind, and your breath. And carry a little bit of ahimsa, non-harming, off our mat into the world. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time.